Yesterday, my husband came home from doing the shopping and he reported on entering the house that he had seen a hare. This was at about, I don't know, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, that he'd seen a hare running in front of our house. So from the field next door and running right in front of the house along the fence and off into another field, I guess. Not quite sure where it went off to, but I've seen a couple of hares around here, but not actually right in front of the house before. So that's quite interesting. We've noticed this year that nature is getting a lot closer to us, and the birds are getting louder and the animals are getting more visible and also braver. They are coming closer and the birds are letting us be closer, and they'll land on the bird table when we're only inches away. So I'm just sketching here, probably quite badly to start with, but we'll have to correct that to go along. Although maybe that's not so bad. Don't be in too much of a hurry to correct yourself completely, because sometimes, you know, it's not that far off. Yeah, what was I saying? Okay, hare's nose. So I'm just sketching roughly. I'll probably rub out some of these marks in a minute before we put the paint on. Anyway, we're going to put him in amongst some flowers, and then I think we probably ought to have a couple of butterflies up here. So 3. Yeah, we found 2 moles in the garden the other day, unfortunately dead. I don't know. Well, when I say unfortunately, they do dig up the vegetables. Terrible. So I've drawn the hare now, and that doesn't look too bad. So I'm just going to wet the background. I'm going to go all the way around him with just plain water. Then I'm going to drop in some colours just to give a little bit of a random sort of background, a little bit like a meadow. I'm not going to be doing this in great detail. This isn't what you would call a detailed painting, but we'll just go around the hair like that first of all, and then using the same little box that we were using before, I'm just going to drop in a few colours and let those flow as they want. And I must say there is no difference between these paints and the new watercolours that I've more recently bought. Absolutely no difference whatsoever in terms of the intensity. These are just as bright after 40 years. 40 years these have been sitting in the cupboard. Yes. Thank you, Liam. Motorbike. You know you're in France when the moped goes past. Broken nights in camping sites. to the sound of the moped. So that's a sort of loose background there in ultramarine with a dash of lemon yellow there, cadmium yellow, sorry, just behind the hair, and leaving space for the butterflies, which will pop in when that's dry. And I'm painting here with a size 14 round brush. And let me see, we need to think about putting a little bit of black for the tip of the hare's ears. And I'm hoping that it's going to run, but not too much. And then I'm going to use a little bit of artistic license here and use quite a bit of blue as well as brown in the colour of the hair. Just going to drop that in fairly strongly, and then I'm going to try and see whether we can just drag that down and mix it as we go along. At this point, this painting, which I have attempted on numerous occasions, always looks like a complete disaster, and sometimes is. You can't win them all, as they say. And so at this point you start to say to yourself, something wrong with my paper. What is it they say about workmen and their tools? Okay, so there we are. So far, so mediocre. I'm going to take a smaller brush and put the black part of his eye in. And let's go for some burnt sienna now. Burnt sienna and ultramarine will give you a good strong grey if you mix it up fairly intensely, like that. That's burnt sienna and ultramarine. So if you need some shadow and you don't want to use black, okay, I'm going to have to let this dry now. This paper is actually drying quite slowly. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's drying slowly. So I'm going to probably whack the hairdryer on that. So having got to this stage with the paint, I have decided that what this drawing is going to need now is actually some line. So I've picked up my Staedtler Pigment Liner waterproof pen, and I'm going to start filling in the details with pen. I think it's probably true to say of myself that I enjoy drawing. I probably enjoy drawing actually more than I enjoy painting, although I enjoy the results of the painting a great deal, but I do like drawing, and I do think that it's really important to try to have some drawing skills if you're going to paint. I mean, it has to be learnt. You can't just wish for it and have it happen, obviously. And it takes a lot of time and practice to get it right. And a decent pen. In fact, I'm going to have to get a new set of these. It's beginning to wear out. That's the fattest one, and it's not really working very well. What was I saying? Yes, I was reading a book by one of my mentors, the long lamented Roland Hilder, talking about the need to be able to draw and how it has been sidelined and disregarded for a long time. And he was writing in the 1960s. As not being necessarily for proper art, because if it's proper art it shouldn't look like anything, so why would you need to be able to draw? So I tend to agree with him that drawing is actually quite important. And if you want to express some feeling, what better thing could there be than to scribble on a piece of paper? Once you've got a few lines in, it gives you a bit more structure, so you can then figure out where to put your paint a bit better. With any luck. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry and I'll have to come back to him again. He's not quite done yet, so I'm going to wet the butterflies. And I can't help thinking, hooray for butterflies, they're so beautiful. Let's have a cobalt blue one. Let's put cobalt blue on the points. And in the middle. let's have a yellow one. With a bit of orange at the end. And then let's have an orange one. With a bit of brown. And then we need to put some whiskers. Have to come back in there when it's dry to finish that off. In fact, there are quite a few bits and pieces that we'll have to do when it's dry. And the antennae for the butterfly. See what I mean about my pen? Definitely time to think about a new set. Oh dear. Okay, and I wanted to, yes, that is dry. I wanted to put some flowers in there, didn't I? Probably should stick with yellow. If you use cadmium yellow reasonably thickly, it is semi-opaque, so it will go over whatever's underneath reasonably well, as you can see. I'll put one or two slightly lighter ones over here. Whoops, that's a bit big. There we are, that doesn't matter. See how that lifts the whole thing? It's amazing. And then maybe a little bit more green. I can't believe how strong these paints are. It's amazing. A few grasses. Just goes to show, just because it's a bit old, it doesn't mean to say it's useless. As I say to my husband. Okay, I think that's probably a bit too dark, so I'm just going to lighten that a little bit. And you may or may not want to ink in the butterflies. I'll have to wait for that to dry because it's not going to work with my lousy pens. Okay, so I'll dry that off and I'll come back and show you the finished painting. So there's the final painting of this hare, who obviously wanted to be on YouTube because I have no idea what he was doing running around outside the house yesterday. So there we are, enshrined forever in fame digitalis. So I'm going to let you go now. I'm going to go and make a cup of tea like any good English person would at around about this time of day. And I apologise for the fact that this hare is not a bird, as I promised yesterday to do a bird. I will have a go at that tomorrow, shall I? And so happy painting, and I'll see you on Facebook. And yeah, so I'll say bye-bye for now, everybody. Bye-bye.